My eighth grade English teacher used to tell us all the time Disney is a destroyer, not a creator. I never really knew what she meant by this or really cared until recently when all these crappy live action Disney films started coming out. Little Mermaid, Lion King, Mulan, and the infamous Snow White. It got me thinking, is Disney just now going down the drain or was it bad from the start? I think my answer might make a lot of people mad, but just watch the whole video and hear me out before you cast judgment. Hi, my name is Margaret Mordahl. Welcome to my channel, Virtue Lies in the Middle, where we discuss current topics and try to remain as balanced as possible. So, I think we can all agree that Disney has had a huge cultural impact on our society. We all grew up watching and rewatching Disney movies until they became beloved classics, which is why Disney catches so much flack when they don't do a good job with their live action remakes. But has this impact Disney has had on society been for good or for evil? First off, I'm not talking about how the Disney princesses set highly unrealistic body standards or highly unrealistic standards for love.
This is the happiest day of my life. Everything's so wonderful. Just wait till you meet him.
Him? Rose? You've met some stranger?
Oh, he's not a stranger. We've met before.
You have? Where?
Once upon a dream.
After all, these can easily be dismissed by saying that these are fairy tales, and fairy tales are supposed to be unrealistic. Rather, I'd like to focus on the Disney is a destroyer point. The thing my 8th grade teacher would say is that rather than creating the famous character Mickey Mouse, he destroyed the image of a real mouse, which I think she has a point. He doesn't look a lot like a real mouse. But to dig a little deeper, Walt Disney adapted his movies from original fairy tales to make them more kid-friendly. And in doing so, he took out a lot of the more serious or moral themes of said fairy tales. For example, let's take a look at The Little Mermaid. In the original Little Mermaid, written by Hans Christian Andersen, the Little Mermaid wants to marry the prince not only because she's in love with him, but also because she wants to gain an immortal soul. Mermaids don't have souls. Not only does she give up her voice to gain human legs, but also part of her price to pay is that each time she takes a step, it feels as if she is stepping on sharp knives. But that's only part of it. In the real story, Ariel does not get the prince like she does in the Disney film. He marries the girl he thinks rescued him from the storm. It was actually the Little Mermaid who had rescued him, but she had given up her voice and couldn't say anything about it at all. So, the price the Little Mermaid had to pay for not being successful and marrying the prince was that at the first light of dawn, after the prince's wedding night, she would be turned into sea foam, essentially the normal form of death for a mermaid. So, the prince gets married to another girl, and as the dawn approaches, the Little Mermaid's sisters rise from the ocean, and their hair, their beautiful, long, waving locks of hair, is all gone. They traded their hair to the Sea Witch in return for a knife, and they tell the Little Mermaid that if she plunges the knife into the heart of the prince and bathes her feet in his blood, she will get her tail back and get to be a mermaid again and not turn into sea foam. They beg her to do this, they give her the knife, and once more sink below the ocean waves. So the Little Mermaid is left standing there holding this knife, and as the sun rises, she throws the knife into the water and jumps in after it, ready to become a sea foam. But what actually happens is because of her sacrifice, she has an opportunity to become a daughter of the air, which is a little spirit that flies around and does good to others and eventually does earn her immortal soul after 300 years. So, depressing, one might say. Too traumatizing or mature or sad for little kids, one might say. But I don't see that story as depressing. I see it as a story of enormous love, of tremendous sacrifice. I see it as a beautiful story of heroic virtue. We don't really see this type of sacrifice or heroic virtue, the complete giving of oneself, in any Disney cartoon. And Disney more or less does this with most of his retellings. In Pinocchio, the puppet is much naughtier in the book than in the movie. He actually, in a fit of rage, throws a mallet at Jiminy Cricket and kills him early on in the story, essentially trying to kill his conscience. One of his friends actually dies of mistreatment when they're turned into donkeys. Definitely the original story is a bit darker and heavier than the cartoon. The movie version of Mary Poppins, as well, is almost unrecognizable from the original book, the book Mary Poppins being much crustier and odder than the happy-go-lucky movie version. In Cinderella, the two wicked stepsisters' punishment is getting their eyes plucked out by birds. There is definitely no version where they are misunderstood. Although Walt Disney himself was not really included in the making of Sound of Music, the film stayed true to his previous works and heavily adapted the original true story by taking out any real religious elements. Sure, you have some nuns featured, nuns who are turned into silly, sappy, singing ladies, but the real story of the Von Trapp family singers was one of deep faith, of rich liturgy, and of the great religious choral tradition. So what's the big deal, you might say? Why does this matter? Disney is in the entertainment field and making kids' entertainment for that matter. Why does it matter that Disney took every children's classic he could get his grubby little fingers on and turned it into a moronic sing-along? What's the big deal? Well, I'll tell you what the big deal is. Do you feed your children vegetables or cotton candy? Nothing wrong with a little cotton candy on occasion, but if all you're feeding your children is cotton candy and no vegetables, then we have a problem. Disney is like cotton candy for the soul, and I am firmly convinced that a steady stream of this is just about as good for your child's mental development as a steady diet of cotton candy would be for their physical development. Now, I don't think Disney or his movies are really the worst things in the world, but I do think they were the first step down the road leading to where we are today. And where are we today? Good question. Well, this video went viral a while back, and I think it shows very clearly where we are today. It's a video of actor Anthony Mackie explaining how he raises his sons.
I keep my boys humble. Like, my boys have never had a pair of Jordans. You know, my boys don't do all that internet fly shit. I'm like your kids. And no, I don't give a f. I could be the biggest star in the world. Do not let me catch you being stupid. Do not. And my oldest gets it. My 15-year-old, he tells the other ones, he's like, yo, don't make dad mad. Because once you get one that's right, he gonna straighten the other ones out. So it's just that thing of, you know, in the past 20 years, we've been living through the death of the American male. They have literally killed masculinity in our homes and our communities, for one reason or another. But I raised my boys to be young men. And however you feel about that, you feel about that. Right. But my boys will always be respectful. They will always say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. No, sir, no, ma'am. They will always say thank you. They will always open a door for a lady. They will always make sure that their mother is taken care and provided for. They will always be men.
Pretty awesome, right? Sounds like Anthony Mackie is raising his kids right. Well, this clip did not go viral because people were applauding what he said. People were mad, calling him names in the comments, saying what he said was disgusting, stupid, his poor kids, calling it a right-wing grift. This is what the top comment on X said. And this is why young black boys grow up with so much pressure to uphold these antiquated views of what masculinity looks like and end up lonely and depressed. It's okay to be a black male and just be yourself. You don't always have to be a man. So yes, this is where we are as a society. Teaching children manners and responsibility is causing depression. Soft. Soft. Our generation is so soft. So, what does this have to do with Disney? Basically, I'm trying to draw this connection between the softness of our culture and the softness of our children's entertainment. Disney took children's entertainment, dumbed it down, watered it down, loaded it with sugar, and fed it to our children. And now we think that children's entertainment has to be this really simple, vacuous, empty stuff, whereas it never really was before. I mean, apparently Abraham Lincoln, by the time he was 11, was reading biographies of Washington and Franklin, reading Robinson Crusoe, Arabian Nights, not the Disneyfied version. Kids are capable of a lot more than we think, but now apparently learning manners is too much and causes depression. So, I don't know. I think Disney missed a big opportunity with these live action films. I think they should have gone back to the original source material, made them a bit more maybe serious, beautiful, classical, kind of what it looked like the Daily Wire had wanted to do with Snow White. But did we think that Disney was actually ever going to do anything like that? No, because Disney was rotten from the start. That's all I have for you today. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I will see you in the next video.